is unsustainable, number one.
Except, yeah, he and I have a little bit of a different way of approach. He says it's unsustainable. Yeah. I think empires can be sustained for hundreds of years.
Right.
They have, and I don't think this one's going to be sustained because we're in such sped up times.
Right. Perpetuity has not yet been achieved.
No.
By an empire.
No.
Right.
So it's not, an empire is not a democracy. Secession is a valid and very American concept. And we need to restore it, revive it, look at it again. Why is it valid? Why was it so important to the founders of the country? Then we have these practical issues, which we visit.
That's number 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's number 3.
Yeah.
How do Vermonters once again regain this sense of being self-guided, self-sufficient? And the fourth one that I like to point out is a little bit outside the discussion, but it's pressing it, which is global warming and peak oil. And those two forces are totally outside Vermont, but they are pressing on us. They're going to force us to be self-sufficient, to be small
Now,
scale.
most people are familiar with global warming. Peak oil, can you give us in a nutshell explanation?
Good.
The notion of peak oil is the idea that we've got a finite amount of fossil fuel energy in the ground, and when we talk about global peak oil, we're talking about the fact that more than half of that finite amount of fossil fuel energy globally has been taken out of the ground, leaving the increasingly more expensive and less of high quality fossil fuel energy left. And it's going to get more and more expensive. It already is, as we all know. It's going to get more and more expensive to extract that oil and that natural gas out of the ground and deliver it to global consumers. And as a result, it's already happening. The energy industry is beginning to, of course, increase its own prices, but they're beginning to stop researching new fields. They're beginning to stop investing in research and development and in new refining capacity, because they're simply not going to be able to make much money for that much longer extracting the oil out of the ground. So then the question becomes, okay, so we've got a global economy that literally runs on fossil fuel energy, and that fossil fuel energy is running out. We've got maybe another 20, 30 years. What's going to happen when it gets prohibitively expensive to extract that energy? I mean, oil's always going to be in the ground.
Sure.
But the question is, who's going to pay to get it out and refine it? And
So to get down to a real practical issue that ties in some of these trends, you could look at wind energy, okay? You could say, not in my backyard. It's going to spoil my pretty view. Okay, so what are you saying then? I'm saying we keep Vermont Yankee going. I'm saying we continue to buy from Hydro-Quebec, which destroyed a lot of Cree land, and that we pay for the war machine so that we can get the oil to run our turbines and from the Middle East.
This is what you're a proponent of?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying
That's
when
what
you
we're doing.
you say
Right.
we're not going to invest in these renewables and in conservation and energy efficiency, you are opting for an alternative that's already in place, but very, very expensive. And people tend not to look at the whole picture. So one of the things we do here is try to get them to look at the whole picture before they log in and say, not in my backyard.
Well, and this is a very quick half hour, but people can always go to the Vermont Commons website and et cetera. But in a minute or two, that to me is the crux of Vermont. How does the idea of an independent republic reconcile with the fact that people do fight wind farms, people don't want industry?
You're talking to an educator and a publisher.
Right.
So my response is, let's get them information, so that at least they can start talking about it in a holistic way.
Right.
we also have to recognize that the 21st century will look very little like the 20th century.
Yeah.
You cannot solve new problems with old methods. And people who say oppose wind farms, for example, of appropriate scale wind farms in their communities, have to recognize that there's not going to be much oil around for much longer to power them through the 21st century. So that's what we mean when we say, you know, that the 21st century is going to look very different than the 20th. And we need to be thinking and implementing now the solutions, the 21st century kinds of solutions that are going to allow us to sustain this project called Vermont and, of course, this project called human civilization.
Are things going to change for Vermont Commons now after a year? Will
Yeah,
there be a new way of doing things?
We've decided, we're almost all volunteers. Rob and I are volunteers, and there are a number of other volunteers. There's Rick, I won't name them all, but we have an advertising person, we have someone who does distribution, et cetera, et cetera. We have a subscriptions manager, a business manager. We're all over the state as individuals. And so it's a little stressful to get this monkey out every
baby.
Our
baby monkey.
Yeah.
But you do it. But you do it.
We did it. We will have done it for about 15 issues, and then we're going to shift with the July 4th issue to being a quarterly.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I have to stop you there because we're out of television is very limited compared to print and online.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Ian Baldwin and Rob Williams,
Thanks,
for
Scott.
talking about Vermont Commons.
Thank you, Scott.
And thank you for watching our RETN Roundtable.
If you'd like more information about the topics discussed on this show, or have ideas for future programs, please contact us.